Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the last day of our 2022 International Arts Education Week. With us on the platform let me start by saying where I come from, ISME, International Society for Music Education, and my colleagues. Just say the art form.
The drama theater education.
Great.
Visual arts education in ISEA.
Wonderful.
IDEA. Yes, IDEA.
Great. Oh, ISME is International Society for Music Education. Sorry. And we are still hoping that the internet will function for the last member of the quartet, if I can call us that, Ralph, who represents the World Dance Alliance. Today being the 29th of May, 2022, we are coming to the end of our International Arts Education Week, a week that has seen us really think about arts education, whether it is the teaching of arts or what arts teach, whether it is the people who are involved, the history of arts education as we've known it, but above all, the activities of the World Alliance for Arts Education, where we came from, what we have been doing, how we got together, what we aspire to do, and mostly what we really long would happen on this planet through and because of and for arts education. I want us to just take a moment and now introduce ourselves properly and perhaps the organizations that we come from. We just mentioned the names, but if we could just take a couple of minutes and just say who we are and our various roles in our organizations and how our organizations perhaps contribute to the theme for this year, which has been Arts Education for Peace. Let me start because this is an ambush. So my name is Emily Akuno, and I live in Nairobi, Kenya. I am the president, at least for the next couple of months, of the International Society for Music Education. At ISME, we have a strong commitment to allowing everybody to, not allowing, but to working so that everybody, wherever they are, could experience music education as their access to arts education, not just for aesthetic education, but also for self-fulfillment, but also for their personal well-being, because these are the ways in which peace can be accessed. Through music education, we get to associate with one another, we get to see other people, we get to experience their lives. And that kind of collaboration, that kind of networking allows us to share a bit of the other person's culture. And that way we trust that if we can understand other people, it is easier for us to relate to them positively and thereby bring about peace between us, among us. But also when we experience the arts, there is a personal satisfaction that comes about and we can get personal peace. So that was ISME. That was a long story. Now, let me ask perhaps Sanya, if you could just go ahead and introduce yourself and something about IDEA.
Thank you, Emily. It is really an honor and privilege to be with the two of you and with all the people who participated in the webinars this week. My name is Sanja Krsmanović-Tasić, and I'm originally a dancer, theater director, choreographer, and actress, but for many, many years now, a drama teacher and practitioner and researcher and somebody who organizes projects concerning drama theater or sometimes even dance education. And I have had the privilege to be elected as the president of the International Drama Theater Association and Education Association IDEA on our first online General Council meeting because of these strange times that we live in. And since then, with my colleagues, I have been many years in the board of IDEA as an elected officer for the last 10 years. So these are all my colleagues that we have been working for many years, and we are committed to the same mission and goal. Exactly what you said, Emily, but just transform it to another art form. I value so much the World Alliance for Arts Education, because there is this old Chinese saying that maybe you all know, that if there is a one chopstick or one branch, you break it easily. But when you have a whole bundle of chopsticks, it is impossible to break it. And I believe this is the strength of our alliance. I'm so proud to be part of the Alliance and my association that is from the beginning, one of the founding members of the Alliance, because as you know, drama, theater, and dance education are not so present in many schools. And sometimes there is a conflictive situation that we consider there is some comparison or competition, and there shouldn't be. We are all on the same path. We are all dedicated to the same mission, and that is to have art education accessible to all, knowing how much it will bring, how much it develops a personality, not only in the body, but in the mind, in the feelings, in the emotions, making us better human beings, making us understand ourselves and the world that we live in. And this is exactly what is so much needed in these post-COVID times. Our field is really a field that needs so much support in this moment, because as you know, and I think all of you are in the same position, we are a live art. We are an alive arts education actually field where there has to be contact, live contact. And many of our colleagues have suffered around the world not being able to teach, not even being able to do their work, not even being able to go to schools, perhaps, if it's a non-formal education. So I really value all our efforts, and I hope that now that we have some insights, we will go on together on this road. Thank you so much for being there with us.
This is fantastic, beautiful. Teresa, what is happening around the visual arts?
Thank you. So I'm Teresa Torres de Essa. I'm from Portugal, and I am past president of INSEA, the International Society for Education Through Art. INSEA was created in the post-Second War, in the 50s, and in the mission of INSEA always was peace education and cultural diversity, and also the belief that arts and visual arts, among other arts, could help to achieve peace education goals. And through the years, we in our society, we worked, we researched, we published, we discussed ways of making this possible. And we are a network of visual art teachers, researchers, people working in museums also, all kinds of community artists working with education in non-formal educational settings. So it's a very broad community of all those people interested in education through the visual arts and learning through the arts. And in INSEA, it was like Isme and IDEA, one of the founders of the Alliance, we really think that if we stick together, like Sanya told us, if we stick together all the arts, we can advocate for a more humanistic, a more peaceful kind of education that we need right now. Our present, we see that education is collapsing. We see that we need other paradigms, as we saw with UNESCO report, the futures of education, a new social contract, where the authors, they stated keywords like compassion, solidarity, collaboration, interdisciplinarity. So we really need more arts in all kind of education, in schools, in all kind of schools, since very, very small kids until the universities, in social centers, with young people, with adults, with people in the margins. We really need arts, because the arts can give so many things for people. They can help people to express, to make themselves visible, to overcome trauma, for example. And we know that it's very important for people to overcome this kind of trauma and to gain self-confidence through making visible their expression through art, making visible their identity, and also knowing the others and respecting the diversities. And I think there's so many other contributions that arts can bring, like our own process, the artistic process. We work with error. We work with unpredictable, with imponderability. We work with the future. And that's why our disciplines are so needed, because the others, they teach other things. They develop other things. And arts, old arts, they can develop unique things and embodied kind of learning and living and making our lives a work of art. So that's what we work for.
Beautiful. As you were talking, I can't help but think of the interrelatedness of the arts. One of my favorite authors around music education, and perhaps also from my observation, indicates that there are spaces where you cannot separate the arts. Visual, body expression, whether it is in dance or through drama, the gestures and all of that, and the sound, they all work together because they express something about ourselves. And that makes the World Alliance for Arts Education so significant, because they, again, as human beings, our ways of perceiving things are a little different. Some of us are more, I touch, I do, and I get it. Others are more through the ear. Others are more through the eyes. And so when we come together as the World Alliance for Arts Education, we can have a very significant impact. And I like the way what you've said, ladies, that it is not the concerted efforts. And we come together and bring whatever it is that we have, what we can offer, whether it is through the policy, whether it is through the philosophies of teaching, or whether it is just the space for learners to get engaged, to get involved in these arts, that they get to learn. And the different ideas of arts and arts education contribute to the holistic development of children. They contribute to the what shall I say? Perhaps, the English word escapes me, but restoration of individuals, those who have gone through trauma, and having all this space where they can express themselves and where they can be in the presence of beauty. It is very crucial. As you were talking, I remembered also that ISME was started in 1953. So next year, 2023, ISME turns 70 years old. Now, that's not a little baby. That is not, it's beautiful, isn't it? That these associations, these organizations, we have a small part to play, and whatever our role is, we remember that they continue and they keep serving. If it was useful 70 years ago, and it is still useful today, we need to appreciate that there is something that the arts do for human beings, and therefore they need to keep working towards ensuring that as much as possible, every child has access to arts education, and every individual has access to experience arts towards their own education. But let me move from that. So we've had this past week. I would really be glad if you could share with our people what your impressions are, what it is that struck you most, what you're taking home. This time, I will allow you, Sanya, to start and save the bells for me. Because I'm going to ask somebody to please play those bells. But yes, what do you get out of this week? Yeah.
Well, I could just, sorry to make a little digression, because I have been really, my thoughts are running what all these wonderful things that you have said about arts education, how important it is. But there is one more thing that I think we should stress, and sometimes it's good for advocacy, because the new professions that we don't even know what some of our children that we teach or that we are in contact with will do in life, because technology is progressing in such a galloping way, especially now during the COVID pandemic. And what is really essential now is to have as one of the biggest talents ability of creative thinking. Creative thinking is one of the main things that are essential for any future profession. And this is exactly what arts teach. They teach creative thinking and involvement. Wow. And to answer your question, Emily, I'm thinking really that it was such a full week. And I must admit that we even had I call it a matinee of the International Arts Education. It happened by a chance, because that was the day that was convenient for Samuel Leong, Dr. Samuel Leong, who was also part of all the strategies and the advocacy and working a lot in Asia at the UNESCO Observatory for Arts Education and so on. So what was really interesting that I was thinking, he said something very interesting, that what we find is very important is not leadership, but learnership. Leadership, learnership, and leverageship. Because we have to think about leverage, how to make things work, how to find leverage for things. And I think this activity that we have as the International Arts Education Week is a leverage, is a way of making ourselves visible and finding new partners, a new way to continue. I was really so impressed with so many things happening during the week. I was thinking also about the Ukrainian group from Kiev. I think this theme, I am so happy we chose this theme. It's such an important theme for the whole world, not only for our associations, and how much relief arts education brings in times of trouble. Personally, or just to find the collective of your soulmates that you can create art even in impossible circumstances. And I have also been thinking a lot about this webinar with Tinti Karppinen. And I would just like now just to read one little part this amazing letter that she sent to the president of Finland. I would like to remind everybody what she said, because this is for me such an amazing thing. She said, she told the president, could Finland make the following initiative to the world? It was in 2020. Let's turn this corona pandemic, which concerns the whole globe, into victory, so that in future it will be remembered in history as a disease which made us all cooperationally responsible mankind. The word corona will mean its original etymological meaning, crown, and especially crown of peace. Isn't it a right moment to send a message to all leaders of the world that the enemies are not behind the borders? Our worst enemies are climate change, death, starvation, diseases, poverty, lack of pure water, nature catastrophes, and violence. These have no borders. So I want to say that we, with our art, really make important themes and topics, awareness of the important themes and topics. I think with the art you can achieve so much, and a message to somebody who is experiencing art can go much more strongly than any pamphlet, lecture, presentation, talk conference, when they experience a work of art, if it's music, if it's Guernica, you know, by Picasso, or if it's a strong piece of music that is initiated by some event and talks about some important subject, or of course, drama, theater, and dance, it evokes feelings. And then you really comprehend what this is about and how important this theme is. I was also really impressed about last night's webinar. For me, it was last night. I know it's in different parts of the world, because it was amazing to hear firsthand how the Seoul agenda was created, how the alliance was really thought about and slowly cooked. And there was so much solidarity and support between the people that formed. They really made a team. And when they went to UNESCO, they said, no, we stand together. And this actually brought me the idea of the chopsticks. I realized, yes, if there was one by one coming to UNESCO, they would say, okay, oh no, we will deal with you easily. But when there is a group of people from different art fields, art education fields, standing together and all together saying, we want to fight together for arts education in the world. I think it is amazing. You know, I really felt so, I don't know, full of respect, full of thankfulness. You know, I was thankful that I'm also part of this story.
Thank you. I like, just before I go to Teresa, just your last point, how by coming together, they had a voice, they had a strong voice. Yeah, shall I call them our pioneers? They had a strong voice. And how do you come together if with anybody that you don't know? So we need to get to know people. We need to stretch out our hands and find out who is around and who is doing what. That is a thought. I'll come back to that thought, even in my own work. Thank you. Thank you, Sanya. Teresa, you started off something beautiful. Tell us. Sorry, you're still muted.
Sorry. So some reflections about this week.
Yes.
It was a wonderful week. I think it was a time for reflection, a time for thinking, and for critical thinking in the Alliance and in our organizations. From INSEA, there was members that joined the Ring the Bells. It was great. One member from Ireland, he did a Padlet, a digital mural, where students and teachers and everyone could send an image for peace and for arts education for peace. It was a great initiative. And Angela, she started a mantra for peace in textile art, and many people around the world are embroidering the word peace and sending to her. And in Australia, Kate Coleman, she did a webinar about arts education and peace. So in INSEA, they really celebrate this week, making things, taking actions with members. And this is really important. I'm sure that in ISME and IDEA and the Dance Alliance, they also take advantage of this week to propose actions so people can make things together. And I think the Alliance has this power of making things together, small actions, but it's awareness. And like you said earlier, it's not only about arts. It's not only about arts education. It's about cultural diversity. It's about talking about the problems that we face in our world: climate change, a lack of water, all the goals, the sustainable goals. We can work on it through the arts. And during this week, people were talking about that, how they are using the arts to work topics like sustainability topics. And and this is really amazing, I think. Well, my top events from the Alliance were really this webinar with Tinti, because Tinti is a life dedicated to arts education. She was one of the founders of the Alliance. Also, she's very active in advocacy. She wrote this wonderful letter to the president, and she has this passion about arts education and about the role of art educators in the world. She's very activist. So I think testimony was really an example for everyone who works in art education. And then there was this webinar, the open house, where members from everywhere from the organizations, they could just send what they were doing, what they are doing right now. And it was amazing that we have this selection of people working for peace and working in very complicated settings, like Sanya told us about this English theater in Kiev, and how they work under the bombs, and how the theater helps them to resist and to be, to be stable in a very unstable environment. And then there was also Maya from Bosnia, and she was telling us stories of the post-war, after the war in Bosnia, the ex-Yugoslavia, and she was telling us how comedy can be an act of survival and resistance and reflection. And it was amazing to see the work they have done in Bosnia. And then there was Christopher from Grenada, and he was telling us how he's working with adults, young people and kids with sexual abuse, with problems, gender problems, and how they are using theater and the arts to overcome their problems. And then there was Penny from Bath in England, and Penny brought the house of imagination. She brought spaces of possibilities in other educational settings, in community settings. And I think these testimonies, the four of them, they show us it's possible to do small things. And if we stick together and if we show our small things, we can show the others, and we can advocate for art education, because it's with small things that we can make awareness and change mentalities at local level. So yes, I think it was really great to have this webinar and see what happens in the world, and see how art educators are being so energetic and so active, even sometimes without any funding. But they have this willing to resist and to be resilient. So yes, I think if there is a word for this week, it would be reflection, of course. It will be resilience, and it will be take action, because that's what art educators are doing now, is taking action. And we also received wonderful contributions, online contributions. I don't know if I can share the screen, can I?
Yes, you can. I will stop. If I can find stop share. No, I'm not sharing. So go ahead and share. Yes.
Okay, let's try.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not sure. Okay. Doesn't work. Oh. Okay.
It's exciting how we seem to have been attracted to the same things.
Yes, I can add one more word for me, very important. It is hope. There was a lot of hopefulness in all these days.
Yeah.
that it was important for people to meet. It was important for them to see what the others do. It
Yes.
was so, yes. And now Teresa.
Okay. All right.
I hope I am sharing now. So,
yes, you are. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe let's start. Sanya, do you want to say something about the Prologue Performing Arts contribution?
Well, it was, we didn't even know that it just appeared on YouTube because we were just going to follow the hashtags and see who followed and joined the action of Ring the Bells for Arts Education. But it was wonderful that they sent this video because they already edited different people contributing to the Arts Education Week. And Prologue Theatre Group is from Canada. We have a very active member from Canada. Code is the name of the member.
Let's see.
Idea has, yes.
This week, we are advocating for arts education, and we are celebrating all of the amazing teachers, artists, artist educators, students, and youth that we get to work with all the time. So I hope you join us today to ring the bells for arts education, and we hope you enjoy some arts today.
On sonne nos cloches, on joue nos tambours pour l'éducation artistique. Alors, for art education, ring the bell.
Bonhomme, sais-tu jouer? Bonhomme, sais-tu jouer? Sais-tu jouer le violon? Sais-tu jouer le violon?
Meu berimbau toca educação artística para todos e todas. Axé!
Okay, so this is really joyful of art education during this week. And I would like also to share other things that we received.
Right.
So maybe, okay, sorry, just a minute.
This is exactly how little things, little advocacies can make a big wave of change, I think.
It's true. It's true. They really do. Yes. And sometimes we don't realize that what we think is little is actually very much somewhere else. Yeah. Okay.
I hope I am sharing. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we received also a wonderful documentary from an art educator and dancer from India. So let me see. Okay, here it is. And the director of the film, he was really very generous. And he said that all art educators in the world should know Dev Radyar in Sadir. He sent us this wonderful video. I just played a bit of this lady, this wonderful lady.
இது மாதிரி 2 பதம் பாடி போயிடுவாங்க. பாடி முடிஞ்ச உடனே அம்மானை போடுவாங்க. கைக்கு 3 காரணம் கவுத்து பின்னல் கோயிலுக்கு முன்னாடி கர்ணம் போடுறது. அப்புறம் கும்மி போராட்டம். கோலே நா கோலே பாலா இலாலா கோலே. 8 பேர் 10 பேர் நிற்பாங்க போராட்டம். துடையிட செய்யவே நடையிடை செய்ய தொகையரே உமக்கு. துடையிட நடையிடை செய்ய தொகையரே உமக்கு. போராட்டம் கேட்குது சுத்துறது. சுருதி நயத்துடனே வரிசைகள் சேர்ந்த போக சுந்தரி தனி பாடி. சுருதி நயத்துடனே வரிசைகள் சேர்ந்த போக சுந்தரி தனி பாடி. கோலு கொலேனா கோலு கோலு கொலேனா கோலு கொலேனா கோலே. இப்படி 2 கோலாட்டம் போட்டு ஆடுவாங்க. அப்புறம் கும்மி அடிப்பாங்க. அதுவே 7-10 பேர் நல்லா நிறைய பேர் இருக்கும். சீலையெல்லாம் பிரமாதமாக இருக்கும். எல்லாம் வெள்ளியும் தங்கம் கலந்த சீலை. சிம்மாசனம் கட்சியில் இதெல்லாம் பார்த்து கூட மாட்டேங்குது. கட்டி நல்லா ஆளும் நல்லா இருக்கும். சட்டை விடையெல்லாம் நல்லா பூவெல்லாம் வச்சு ஜம்முன்னு எப்படி இருப்பாங்க. இந்த மாதிரி 10 ஆணை திருவிழாக்கும் சதுரம் மகாராஜாவும் வருவார். கணக்க பிளமணியாக எல்லாம் வந்து உட்காந்து பார்ப்பாங்க. அது எத்தனை தட்டு எவ்வளோ காசு. மொட்டை தலைவர் பில்டிங் வருவா.
So this beautiful documentary can be seen in the Alliance webpage, and it's really amazing that in the Alliance we also are making visible the voice of artists and traditional dance and their lives. This dancer that is here depicted in the documentary, it was normally used in temples. But it's wonderful that we can access it globally, and the art educators, they can learn from other cultures. So we are really very thankful to the director of this documentary who sent us the video for us to see. And there were other things, like in Brazil, they did the pompografia. So what during the week, they ask people to send pom-pom is a small ball, and they did a digital mural with all this beautiful image of the balls. And from Taiwan, the first contribution was from Taiwan. Maya is coming. Hello, Maya. So we have these small kids dancing for peace and love. And this was the first contribution for the week. And then we have other contributions from Caleb, for example, from Nigeria, Osegun Adeni.
About half of the land used to be covered in trees. Now this is underlying catastrophe. Deforestation is the cause of global warming. Our planet is becoming warmer every day. One of the greatest problems of the world today.
So from Nigeria, they are sending us take an action for sustainability and for environment. So it is really great to see how art education is in the world and is raising all these questions. I already told you about this mural from an INSEA member. So maybe now we can see the image that we received for peace and peace education from all INSEA members. It's really nice and beautiful. Okay, so let's go again to the thread.
That's fantastic, Teresa.
But just, wait. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, so now. Let's see, other contribution. No. Wait. I don't know why.
I think even as you're looking for it, clearly the message is that, well, I'm going to talk about my impressions also, but from the two of you who've spoken so far, the message of the place of arts and arts education in human existence is very strong. Maya, welcome.
Yeah, sorry for being late. Is it okay if I stay? I don't know. Are you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm going to ask you very shortly just to share with us what your impressions are for the week, but I'll give you a few seconds to put your thoughts together. As I also recollect, and from what the colleagues have mentioned, this concept of leadership, learnership, and leverageship, that's a good one. Those three shapes are very important shapes. I think we need to hold on to them. Yeah, but something from, again, part of my impressions also is that the arts touch and teach all areas of life. They're not confined to just, something small like we saw there, even the advocacy. All this, the sustainable development goals. There is a way of getting to access them, to know them through arts education. Some of the things one thing that I saw in the activities of those who participated is their determination, the individual person's determination. And Maya is one example. There's intentionality. We are doing these things intentionally. It's not by accident, because it's not easy. Let's just face it, okay? It's not easy to sustain some of the things that we do around arts education. And if you're not determined, if you're not committed, if you don't have stamina, you really don't get too far. And I think like the rest of you, the session with Tinti, that was something. That's a powerful girl, isn't she? Her courage and yes.
Yes, I wanted. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. I wanted to add something considering Tinti, if you don't mind.
Yes, go ahead.
This is the paradigm, what we have been taught and what is presented to us in schools, in societies, everywhere. I really love how Tinti is questioning these concepts, as we have to restudy the fairy tales that have been told to us when we are children. What is the role of the woman in the fairy tale? What is the role of justice? What kind of cliches or patterns they're putting in our head? And I really admire this. I have been talking for many years about this concept. It is the concept of non-competition. How much we are, it's imposed on us, that you always have to compare yourselves with somebody, or you always have to compete. And there has to be festivals, art education festivals that are based on competition, where also in my country, everywhere over the world, I can say drama theater education festivals, where it's so important which group is the best, which group is the most, has the best result or performance or work of art. And this is something that is really wrong, because this competition and this just wanting to be better, wanting to be bigger, wanting to have bigger borders leads to war, leads to conflict. But bad, as Maya said, I really loved what Maya said about good conflict and bad conflict. I also believe conflict could be really good. There is good conflict that sparks change, that sparks new creativity. But this concept of doing something without competition, it was really inspiring and important to me and I heard it from Tinti first time, to create a festival that has no competition at all, and it's very strange for a children's drama theater festival to have no competition. So the kids come and they say, oh, there is no prizes. We say, no, there is no prizes. Everybody gets a prize because you came and you made the performance about ecology or ecology of the soul, human rights, and and then they say, oh, we will, boring, why did we come? And then at the end of the festival, they come to us and say, when is it happening next year?
Again.
Because it is an island. It is an island of solidarity, support, development. They understand that we are here together and we want to support each other. So this is, I think, very important thing that we learn from Tinti and for wise people like her. I'm sorry, Emily, to interrupt you because you were saying something also very beautiful.
It's okay, because sometimes when the idea comes, it's good to share it because it's easy to forget, at least for me. If I don't write it, if I don't say it then or I don't write it, it goes. But yes, she one of the things that I learned from listening to her and to the other people is that you have certain powers, but how you use it, the powers, because knowledge is power. So when you have learned through the arts, or you've learned the arts, what do you do with that power? And Tinti has really, really used those. I mean, to have that courage to write to the president and to, shall I say, give instructions to the president or make a strong suggestion to the president to rally the whole world together. I thought that was very brave. So I mentioned the focus on intentionality. One of the other things that I learned, and this goes to the meeting last night, and I've heard the two of you mention that strongly, is that what is international starts local. Actually, it starts with an idea in the individual. If I have this idea and then I do some networking and I can then link up with other people with similar ideas. And so my take home is that I should not think that my idea is not useful. And just because it has not yet exploded globally doesn't mean it cannot reach somebody. And that just brings me to perhaps our theme at ISME for these 2 years is a visible voice. And you've already talked about it so much. The need for everybody's contribution to be heard, the opportunity through the arts for each of us to make a difference, to have our say. And again, you know how arts and arts education give voice to the vulnerable? I think William's presentation gave that clearly. We were probably not paying a lot of attention, but at the end of what he shared, the lady who was standing and holding on to him and saying, this man did this and this. And I felt so strongly about that because she had been very vulnerable because of whatever, what she had gone through in her earlier in her life. But through arts education, she got a voice and she was able to put all of that in perspective and live through it. And I think that teaching arts is a proactive way of getting us to come out of our particular challenges, our particular difficulties. The other thing that I got from all the presenters, including Maya, is that when you believe in something, nothing can stop you. When you believe in something, nothing can stop you. Unfortunately, a lot of us just want to believe and we can't believe. And most times our belief is strengthened through experience. And that brings me to the colleagues who are in the presentation from the areas of current active conflict and those who are in post-conflict situations, that because of the experiences you have gone through and you have found ways of stepping on that experience, not letting the experience bury you, but stepping on it, you have so much to share and nothing can stop you. And I think that is so crucial for the World Alliance for Arts Education to think through, to think about in our advocacy work and whatever we do next year, whatever the theme for the International Arts Education Week will be next year, and in our engagements with other people, that we encourage our people so that we believe, whatever it is that we're picking, it should be something that we believe in, And we are affirmed that nothing can stop us, because out of that, we make our own voices visible, and we enable somebody else to rise above their situation. But I could talk until tomorrow. So let me give you the opportunity, Maya. If you could just share with us anything that you picked up from your interactions with the rest of the world throughout this week of International Arts Education Week.
So unfortunately, I couldn't be there as much as I would, because I'm in rehearsals with MA musical students. So we rehearse, yeah, so from morning till evening. But what was, first, what was super, I didn't know that this organization exists before. So for me, that was like first, like, really like, yeah, there are some people who are doing some really good work. And then this kind of internationality, but also commonality.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that was something that no matter where on earth you are, there are few things that the art that combines it, and this polyphony of voices that really comes together, talking about being human and trying to understand world through art. So in all kind of, and that also educational context is beyond just classrooms. So there is classrooms, but educational context beyond it. And unfortunately with the Ukrainian theater, Alex and, I'm horrible with names, Alex and
Alina.
So you realize that, the kind of this deja vu thing, that through history you have the conflicts are all kind of same, and then what happens after the conflict is so important. How you then navigate those conflict narratives, through which genre do you decide to navigate it? Do you want to do you decide to navigate it to heroic revenge genre, or through something else? So it kind of yeah. That was the other thing that really, I'm still thinking about it, like how, when they were talking about their resistance, I really want to talk to them about a book, Umetnost I kultura zabora by Šešelj, where she gathered all the resistance art that was in Serbia. Then there is this book about testimonies of artists and theater artists in Sarajevo during the siege. And it's, unfortunately, there is so much similarities between that. And you start questioning what art can do to prevent and also to navigate those narratives. So yeah, sorry, I'm again talking.
Maya, can I ask you something? How did you get the invitation for the open house? How did you get information about?
Friend of mine from Applied Theater. She sent me the link, like, have a look at this, because because she knew that that my PhD is on art and reconciliation. And she's like, oh, there is something art, please have a look. So Facebook. Wow. And then I clicked on the link. I'm like, whoa, there is,
Fantastic, beautiful. Fantastic.
And then actually what I did, because at university to which I'm attached, they have Applied Theater, MABA. So I just send them the links, like, guys, there is this, please do. So hopefully they will find out and maybe.
Yeah. And the good thing is that even for those who've not been able to attend physically this week, or physically or live this week, the recordings will be there, so they can always come back. And you can always come back and review those conversations and hear something that you may have missed. This is great. This is fantastic. Yes, Teresa.
Just wanted to add some other highlight because of what Maya said. And also because it was the first time she got in contact with us. It happens also with Christian. It was the first time, and he didn't know about the idea or about our organization. So the Alliance is also showcasing the organizations. And in discussion with the founders of the Alliance,
Yes.
It was really great because we had Doug Bolton, we had Larry O'Farrell, Rita Irving, Joaquin Grace, and Sanya, of course, and
Tinti.
And Tinti and Dietrich Schonau. And they were since the beginning when we started this alliance in 2006. Yeah. And the alliance was started as a response to UNESCO, but now it changed. And still, we still are very linked to UNESCO, of course, and we celebrate this International Art Education Week that UNESCO created. Right. But from the discussions, I think there was some ideas for future action. And one future action, like Maya said, is this network. Is putting people together. And I remember in one of the meetings of the Alliance many years ago, it was before Seoul Agenda, there were many meetings in Germany and other countries. And there was a meeting, I think it was in Newcastle. Yeah, it was in Newcastle. There was Larry and Diedrich, and there was Tinti, and all of them, they were there. And I was in a working group, on the networking working group. And we did lots of drawings and schemas and so on. And I remember at the time they were thinking, we need more networking, we need more networking. At that time, we didn't know how it works, but now I think 10 years later, we have this, we have the network, we are the network. Yes. And maybe this is the way we should go forward. I don't know, just small things, putting people together and making visibility spaces. And I think also in terms of advocacy, because the Alliance is also about advocacy, when we need numbers, we don't have numbers. Well, in music we have numbers, but the other arts, they don't have numbers. It's very difficult. It's very difficult for us, the researchers, to have this quantitative data. So if we have a platform where we put all these cases, we can have these numbers. We just need a platform that people can send a link and we can count and we can see how powerful is art education in the world.
There was a number last night, they said 5 million, that these actually representatives of our associations represented actually 5 million people all over the world who are participating or doing or practicing arts education. For me, that was such an amazing revelation, actually.
That really indicates that it's a strong organization. The Alliance is strong. And there's much that we can do with it. I don't think we should ever fear. I don't think we should, but yes, that's the recommendations, the suggestions from the founders, I think those are things that we should take very seriously. Coming from Africa, we have a strong belief in listening to the elders and you know, going back for counsel. When the elders say this is the way things should go, of course, we know that things have changed, but it is important, especially because they had the vision. And we ask ourselves, how well are we, have we absorbed this vision? Are we realizing the vision within our circumstances? And I think it is important. But people, I think maybe it is time for us to wrap this up.
Can I just add one thing? And then I'll leave you to, but just because to pick up on this, what you just said about, you know, Alliance and what Sanya said about these festivals with the prizes. And there is something that it just, don't to me, that's something that differed when I joined in our presentation team. It wasn't business-like, like conferences, let's do this. It was space for conversation. It wasn't monologues, then you know, you clap and you go. Like festivals, monologues of, or if we look into theater performances, monologues, yeah, then judge says who is the best and then you go. It was, because also Teresa said time, this thing with time, like yeah, it's 15-ish minutes, but if you need more, there was this flexibility that any conversation allows. And that's why after that, we really kind of talk to each other, you know, trying to find links. And I think that's something that conversations instead of monologues next to each other is something that that I experienced with, with your
organization. Oh, it's so good to know that. It is so good to know that. And that's one of the things, because we are networking, we are embracing one another and trying to see how we can work together. And that's important. Thank you, Maya. That's very important. That's very important.
I will leave you now for you, because I just thank you, and we'll stay in touch.
Thank you, Maya. We stay in contact. Thank you.
Hvala, Maya.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Lily, may we finish with the video that we started?
Yes, we will. But just before we do that, I think again, I really wish Ralph was here. But Ralph, I know as you're listening to this, your space is here, and we have missed your voice, but we know that it's just because of the technology. And I wanted to remember something again about the networking, the connections. I mentioned earlier that it starts very small, it starts local for it to become international. In 2006, I was in an international seminar in Hong Kong as we were heading to, I think, Malaysia for the ISME World Conference. And in that seminar for the music in school and in the school and teacher education, I made a presentation, almost my first presentation at ISME. And at the end of it, there was a gentleman who had been sitting at the back. And because I'd been talking about children's songs, he gave me a book of children's songs. And it was Kiwi children's songs. This gentleman turns out to be, guess who?
Ralph.
That was Ralph. And I went to look for my book because I wanted to show it, but I can't find it. I moved houses, so things are still all over. And that is how the networks begin, you know, and you get to associate with one another and you share knowledge, you share the resources. And for me, Teresa, what you were just saying about this platform, I think we start by that little sharing, and we will go very, very, very far. So at this juncture, then, before we do that, no, let's have the video. Let's have the video, and then I'll just make the last announcement as we close. So here we go.
Oh, I don't know if I can.
It's taking its time, but it is coming.
Well, this computer is some passwords. Is coming?
Yes.
Yes, we see it.
With sound?
العربية الأسبوع الدولي لتعليم الفنون 2022 نحتفل بتعليم الفنون من أجل السلام.
Educação em Artes no Brasil, para a Semana de Artes no Mundo 2022. Nós celebramos a arte para a paz.
Kudzidzwa kwetsika nemagariro kuZimbabwe kuchamhembe kweAfrica. Vhiki rekudzidzwa kwetsika nemagariro pasi rese 2022. Kupemberera runyararo kuburikidza nekudzidzwa kwetsika namagariro.
Imfundo yezobuciko from South Africa. Iviki lemfundo yezobuciko yamazwe ngamazwe. Imfundo yezobuciko yokutula. elimu ya sanaa kutoka Kenya, Afrika ya Mashariki. Wiki ya kimataifa ya elimu ya sanaa ya mwaka huu 2022 tunasherehekea mambo ya elimu ya sanaa kwa amani. Jiunge nasi ili tuangalie haya mambo pamoja. Asante.
Cette année, nous célébrons la Semaine internationale d'éducation artistique en pensant à la paix.
भारत की कला शिक्षा अंतर्राष्ट्रीय कला शिक्षा सप्ताह 2022 शांति हेतु हम कला शिक्षा उत्सव मनाते हैं।
來自香港嘅藝術教育國際藝術教育週2022，我哋為咗世界和平去推動藝術教育。
Auch die Kunstpädagogen in Deutschland wünschen sich nichts Sehnlicheres als den Frieden. Wir rufen alle Menschen auf, zu diesem Frieden beizutragen.
Idigus Alien on Éireann. An tachtan iad an náisiúnta am Idigus Alien 2022. Déanamid céalúra Idigus Alien Sunna Síochána.
L-edukaturi tal-arti minn Malta isejħu għal Edukazzjoni tal-Arti għal Paċi matul il-Ġimgħa Internazzjonali tal-Edukazzjoni tal-Arti 2022.
日本の芸術教育は2022年の国際芸術教育週間に平和のための芸術教育を呼びかけます。
Ensomesa y'ebitone mu Uganda. Sabbiiti y'ensomesa y'ebitone mu mwaka 2022 mu nsi yonna. Tujaguza ensomesa y'ebitone ku lw'emirembe.
Ove godine proslavljamo Svetsku nedelju umetničkog obrazovanja fokusirani na vrlo važnu temu, umetničko obrazovanje za mir. Jer mir nam je svima važan и потребен.
Арт-образование в России. Неделя международного арт-образования в 2022 году. Мы празднуем арт-образование для мира.
Etelo ya A mboka province ya Sud Kivu RDC. Ezali mokolo ya semene ya engumba nyonso ya mokili ya etelo ya A 2022. Tozosepela na etelo ya A mpona bosomi mpe kimia na mokili.
En la Semana Internacional de Educación Artística del 2022 pensamos el papel de la educación a través de las artes para la paz.
Kunstdocenten uit Nederland roepen op voor kunsteducatie voor vrede tijdens de 2022 Internationale Week van de Kunsteducatie.
Sanat Eğitimi Türkiye Uluslararası Sanat Eğitimi Haftası 2022 Barış için sanat eğitimini kutluyoruz.
This year we celebrate the International Arts Education Week, focused on a very important subject, arts education for peace, because peace is something that is most important and needed.
Wonderful.
Beautiful.
Well done. Indeed, the way we began is how we end, and it's been a fantastic week. From myself, from ISME, I really want to thank WDA, INSER, IDEA for the collaboration that makes WAAE exist, and that allows us every year during the third week of May to have the International Arts Education Week. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for the past 1 year, ISME has been chairing this wonderful alliance. And my person, as the president of ISME, I have been trying to get us to coordinate what we do. And it is now my singular pleasure to hand over from ISME to INSEA, to hand over from Emily to Teresa. So Teresa, I'd like to really welcome you and ask you to now take the baton and move with us to the next level of WAAE activities. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Sanya. So first of all, I want to thank all your work, Emily, during this year as chair of the Alliance. You broke softness, you broke humanity, and a beautiful smile, a beautiful person, and a beautiful way of dealing, very feminine also. So thank you, Emily, for being what you are, and thank you for bringing your beauty to this alliance and your beautiful way of working. Thank you so much. I hope during the next year to continue your legacy with softness and with calm and at least patience, just like what you teach me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And so at this time, I think it is in order for us to officially close the 2022 International Arts Education Week. And I want to wish us all in our various arts education activities, whether it is arts education, arts in education, arts for education, education through the arts, whatever it is, let us just rejoice and do what we are doing. And if you have a bell, I've got my good old cup, which is my bell. Shall we ring
yes.
for art education?
Yes.
Thank you. Let us
Thank
ring.
you, Emily. You have been a wonderful chair of our alliance. Thank you.
Thank you,
it's
Sanya.
a pleasure
Thank
to
you
know you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. And so I wish us all a good day, good evening, and Teresa, a fantastic year as you lead us into the next phase. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Okay.